Okay, it seems that my last video that I made for this didn't have any sound on it, so I suppose we should probably have sound. So I'm shooting it again here. So my example of my graphic organizer here for the collage project, I start in the middle. My name, Brian, how do I represent myself? And then what I do is I kick out to some of the main elements in my life that I feel like, do represent me. So I'm working on my PhD right now. I absolutely love to research. I do it all the time, like for my work, for my education, just for like the basic general, interest as well. I'm a printmaker. That is one of my dominant ways of working and making art. It kind of brings my drawing and painting skills together, something that I really have honed for a long time in my life. I love to make sculpture as well, so it's one of my favorite creative endeavors as such. I'm a father and a husband. I love to incorporate color into my work. I use it as a very expressive element, in my abstract pieces, my non-objective pieces, but also in my objective pieces. So, love my dogs, told you about that. So, media, music, and movies, big part of my life. I really like to to watch all forms of art and to work any kind of creative endeavor into my life, right? So then what I do after I have those is I start thinking, okay, well, let's expand on that a little bit. Like within my PhD, what's interesting to me? What am I studying? Instructional design, which is something that I have been pretty much constantly dealing with since I began teaching, which, by the way, I love teaching. It's something that I'm very passionate about. It's something that I'm never going to stop doing, even if I stop getting paid for it, right? Sociology is one of my big interests in terms of my PhD. In terms of my love for research, I love to read. I love books. I have several volumes of encyclopedias that I dig through for my work to get ideas, to inspire me, but also just to read. It kind of seems weird, but it's a major part of my personality. I love to watch documentaries. I love to read about nonfiction, more or less. Fiction is not really that, it doesn't excite me that much, which is why it's kind of in that research realm. So I started thinking, okay, well, this love of teaching and the studying and how I have this inherent love for research and books, I figured, well, let's go ahead and get the symbol of books in there. Also, other elements that show that you love teaching are things like an apple, different things like that. I don't know if I'll put that in there or not. So I started thinking about my work as a printmaker, some of the dominant things that enter my work. Seems like all of my prints have a good deal of line work to describe imagery and things like that. A lot of contrast to really force the emphasis on my viewer quite a bit in design. One of the things about printmaking that's really awesome is that you can repeat images really easily, because you can just ink up a plate and print it over and over again in one composition. It's something I do a lot in my work, so I think what I'm going to do is incorporate all of these things in my self-portrait collage. Like I'm going to do some drawing with line work. I'm going to make sure that I'm incorporating a good deal of contrast, so the emphasis is pretty clear. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get out some of my old prints and maybe cut them up, tear them up, and then repeat some imagery in there just to reference it. One thing that I love doing as a sculptor, and so I added this, was additive assemblage, which basically means that you are combining objects together to create like a full sculpture. So it's easier to represent that in a collage. Like I could actually take some of my little assemblage items and glue them onto my collage, so I think I'm going to do that. One of my favorite things to do as a sculptor, though, is metal casting. I'll make a wax positive, and then I make molds of that, and then cast it in aluminum, bronze, iron. But I think it's going to be harder for me to represent that in the collage, so I'm just going to go with that additive assemblage aspect. As far as my family goes, come on, buddy. I have 2 kids, and my wife is a librarian. Something that's important to everybody in my family is pursuing their goals. I have one child that's in college right now, and she's working on a history education degree. My other child is working right now and developing a pretty serious relationship with a young lady, so I don't know, maybe a marriage in the future, we'll see. My wife's a librarian here, and we both share a love for knowledge and accessing knowledge, so I feel like we all have something in common there with those educational pursuits, and that's what ties us together. So I'm going to incorporate some of that. I have a really cool picture of myself when I was young and my kids were like super little. I think I'm going to throw that in there. far as colors, some of my favorite color schemes are split complements. So I think that I'm going to select some of my dominant color elements within the collage to be in that color scheme. That'll make more sense to you on Wednesday when I start demonstrating. I'm definitely going to get some images of my dogs in there. The two big dogs that we have a Lab Shepherd mix and a Collie Aussie mix. They're fun, they're buddies, they're homies, they play all the time, and they cuddle with each other, and they're so cute and all that stuff. We do have a smaller dog, it's my daughter's, and she's really super skittish, and so, like, very rarely is she even going to let me photograph her, so I'm not going to include her, because I don't want to make her nervous. She is a nervous little thing. As far as media, music, and movies and things like that, I like a big variety of music, so I'm probably, I feel like that's not hammered down to something that's easy to include. So I'm probably not going to throw that in there. One of my favorite actors is Joaquin Phoenix. He has done such a beautiful job with all the various roles that he's done that are very contrasting. I just feel like he's an amazing artist as an actor. I'm not sure if I want him in my collage. I mean, I like him and everything, but I don't think I like him that much. However, Tarantino films are some of my favorites. Quentin Tarantino is one of my favorite directors. I feel like his absurdity and his sort of attack on cultural mores and toxic masculinity are things that I very much am interested in with my own research and my own aesthetic. So I think I'm gonna look for some good, like, movie stills that I can pull out of there and include in my collage. So all these things that I've starred here are elements that I intend to bring with me on Wednesday and then begin my collage. So hopefully this helps you. Feel free to perform the same kind of brainstorming if you think that your ideas are maybe not as rich as you'd like them to be. But I definitely want you, however you come up with your ideas, to bring these elements on Wednesday so we can jump right in making art. Anyways, cool, thank you, and I will see you Wednesday morning.